But if you say, hey, you go to the most masculine, cisgendered, heterosexual man and say, you a woman, you a female, he will get mad, even though it's the furthest thing from the truth. So in order for black men to embark on this fight against the feminization, we have to agree that being feminized reduces us. And the only way to be feminized as being a reduction, is to agree that women are less than. And a lot of people know, I think women and men are the same. I'm just not a woman. You wouldn't have the hysterics. You would dismiss it without any argument. There wouldn't be a whole movement. There wouldn't be a whole industry. There wouldn't be demagogues and local celebrities whose whole identity and whole status is based on them fighting a feminization. There wouldn't be scholars fighting a feminization. You wouldn't need it because it's just, I'm not a woman. Okay, big deal. So one of the ways black men have fought, one of the maladaptive ways black men have fought a feminization was through intensifying our manliness as defined by our oppressors. We look at how our oppressors define men and manhood, and then we hyper-focus and throw our all into demonstrating our manliness by fully intensifying and reaching the standards of manhood as defined by our oppressors. So when they say black man, go their own way, go thy own way. They're not saying go your own way against capitalism. They're not saying go in their own way against imperialism. They're not saying going against the status quo. They say go their own way, abandon women, go away from women to show how manly you are. And our oppressors define manhood by your capacity for violence and murder, your ability and willingness to dominate, your how well you can hoard resources, whether it's cash, money, property, how much you can accumulate shit well beyond what you need, and your ability to be detached and unfeeling, psychopathic. So they define manhood in a pathological way. They reduce black men to womanhood status. And so black men are chasing this corrupt, sick concept of being a man, what a man is. And we're constantly in this warped, sickening, divisive cycle of being reduced to women and trying to demonstrate our manhood in the most obscene, absurdist, whitest, most Arab way possible. And the black men who are able to say, I'll crush some shit, I got my gun, I dominate, I'm the head of my household, I got all this money, I got cars, I got this, and I don't give a shit, I'll do me. Manhood as defined, I don't give a, principled and honorable. Because if you're not honorable, if you're not fighting against genocide, colonization, capitalism. So all this, a black man is a protector. No, black men, that protector is hoarding. It is warped sense of protection, meaning that you only give a damn about what you own. You don't protect the community. Hey, it's my money, my car, my woman, my kids. In this hoarding mentality. So we intensify our capacity or willingness to do violence, our potential for violence, our capacity and willingness to dominate, or our demand that people submit to our domination through hoarding resources, what you earn, defined about, the money, the gold, the cars, money, hoes, and clothes, all a nigga knows, and our ability to not give a damn. Unfeeling, psychopathic, sociopathic. And another way of fighting a feminization. So if your women are low, and then they want to reduce you to the status of woman, if you can push your woman even lower, so by repress or reducing women below our status, thus keeping us at the top of the bottom. And a lot of us fight to stay at the top of the bottom. I may be bad off, but I ain't no woman. I'm not as bad as a woman. I'm not as irrational as a woman. I'm not as weak as a woman. But I could go, the time is a little limited. So let me move on from that point. I think I've made my point in terms of that. But black men, I have to say, the only viable and sustainable way to end the effeminization of black men that I acknowledge is happening is through the liberation of black women and the liberation of womanhood in general. If womanhood and if women no longer held a reduced or diminished status in the ideology, in the culture, in the society, then there would be no incentive to reduce men to women's status. So if you are a black man who is like, listen, the effeminate conspiracy to feminize black men is a problem, liberating black women would eliminate any motivation or incentive to do so, and any stigma attached to it being done. That is the only healthy way. So we have to make anti-sexism, anti-misogyny, and overall liberation of women a cornerstone of overall black liberation, of African liberation, of any type of liberatory revolutionary struggle. Women's liberation, women's oppression, the specific oppression targeted towards women has to be at first acknowledged, understood, and then dissected, attacked, reversed, ended. And that the byproduct of those activities will upend and end the incentive motivations to effeminize black men. We thought that the way to stop effeminization of black men is to purge any components of femininity within ourselves as individuals or as in black men as a group, to repress women. They even say, oh, keep your sons away from, your mothers away from sons. You got to go get your sons. You can't have them around women and all this shit. When the simple solution is, if black women are elevated, then black effeminization no longer becomes a viable agenda for repression, degradation, disrespect, or harming black men. So allying with and listening to black women about gender-specific or gendered oppression, because it exists. There's too much goddamn history. There's too many laws and legislation barring women from owning property. It's just too much. The statistics don't lie. The history books don't lie. Well, they do lie. It does lie, but we can suss out the truth. Right? So, if you're going to go out here and read and fight against the effeminization, the solution is not to give Umar $500,000 to build an all-man school, an alpha male training facility. It is not to join these misogynistic Islamic, these misogynistic Christian, these misogynistic Black Hebrew cults. It is not buying more guns, taking more steroids to get more muscle. It's not to purge any elements of the society. If you like romance novels and rom-coms, brother, sit down and watch the romance novels and rom-coms. Do you, player? Because the only way to truly end the effeminization of men, period, or Black men specifically, is to make sure, as we fight and call for justice for a liberation of Black people, that we completely purge sexism, misogyny, and women gender-specific discrimination and oppression of Black women. And then the next time somebody like, dude, you out here acting like a female, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what? I promise you, that's the only way. A lot of Black men want, and it's evidence. Look at their rhetoric. They write it, they say it. They're not even ashamed. It's not even like I'm exposing anything that's hidden. But a lot of Black men, they want economic justice. They want their share of the spoils of empire. They want their civil and human rights. A lot of pro-Black men, so-called revolutionary Black men, they want all this shit for Black men, but they fully intend to leave the hierarchy, the sex hierarchy, fully in place. I talk to Black men, they got red, black, and green African names, and they want African liberation. They call themselves Pan-Africanists, but when it comes to relations between men and women, they want to sustain the Judeo-Christian, conservative, reactionary, sexist hierarchy. There are a lot of people, even within liberatory movements. So, Black liberation has to be aligned with Black women's liberation, and understanding that in this compound oppression, and it's not just the women's issue where a lot of Black movement, it's also the class issue. There's a lot of the void. And sisters been writing, they've been speaking, they've been yelling, they've been singing and dancing, trying to get this message through. They've been trying to get this message through. And it's all or nothing. The oppressors understand that it's all or nothing. The oppressors, if you look at the systems and institutions of global white domination, they're not just content to have all the money. They're not just content to control all the natural resources. They're not just content with military domination. They have to dominate every element. They want to dominate entertainment, the toys, every minuscule element of the system and society. They have to have a hand in it. Whereas a lot of Black people don't understand it's all or nothing. Everybody and everything has to be liberated. We can't just liberate the Black man. We can't just economic liberation. We want our economic liberation. Every single element of society has to be infused with justice, has to be radicalized. It's all or nothing. So you can't maintain pockets of oppression within a larger liberation struggle. So as I said, and I'll tell you, liberating the end of the repression or feminization of Black men is rooted in the liberation of Black women. The purging of sexism and misogyny and patriarchy from Black spaces, Black cultures, Black mentality, Black movements. We're going the other way. The things that most Black men do entrenches and justifies effeminization. And I understand. I've been a Black man all my life. And we're in a system that tells us, hey, we have to be the breadwinners. And then they economically castrate us. And our women participate in that. I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy who gets no love from me. And many times Black women will put on us. They want us to achieve all the things that white men achieve without any other white pathology. So we're supposed to be humane capitalists.